Steve the Cookout Coach, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the really big BBQ Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA. Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to get in touch with the show this evening, if you want to follow the show socially, although I'll give you that information in addition to this, here's all that stuff.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, the newly, hotly revamped website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter coming up in about 13 minutes from now. The rarely happening but often hotly anticipated open segment, and on the longer side. So as the state was drawing near and my collection of stuff, housekeeping items to get through continues to build, I saw this date as being open, considered booking a guest, and said, you know what, let's leave it open. Worst comes to worst, or I'm gripping 48, 72 hours before tonight. I'll try and backfill it with a guest. But let's leave it open and see what happens. Maybe I can get through some things. As not luck would have it, the middle of next month is going to look weird. We're going to talk about that next segment as well. So I've allotted time for me to talk and for you to listen and interact with. So that's what's happening first. After you get done with me here in the open, a lot more of me next segment. But everybody loves that. Then, 35 past the first hour. We missed him last month, but he's back for his normal segment. The creator of DerrickRiches.com, Derrick Riches, who has gone and done it again. Blown the very foundations of the live fire community off of its roots. That's not even a saying ever. What am I trying to say? Has shook the very foundations of the live fire community once again in 2023. Did it the first time ever in 2022, a year removed, give or take. Has once again reshaken the very foundations, put a crack in the cornerstone as we've come to know and love the live fire community. Have I teased it enough? We'll leave it at that. That'll close the first hour, move to the second hour, and because it's the fourth Tuesday of the month in the second hour, you know it's not one but two segments with the Embedded Correspondents. Now, as I'm setting up the Embedded Correspondence segment, we lead off that portion of the hour with the 100% Assurity Questions. By the way, Assurity is not a word. That is a Rempeism, I believe. So through your grammar checks, spell checks, if for whatever reason you decide to put that in text, know that you're going to be alerted that that's wrong. And you might say, well, how could that possibly be wrong? This professional host that I listen to every Tuesday on the internet is saying Assurity multiple times during the course of a year, at least once a month, many times. And why is it telling me it's wrong? Because it's not a real word. It's made up. A couple weeks ago, I said a phrase, fancy footing around. Also, nobody's ever said that ever. I know this because my daughter came home and said, hey, you were mentioning Steve on the show, and you said something about fancy footing around. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. I'm talking in a stream of consciousness. While I do have outline, sometimes I script out questions that I want to ask specifically. 90% of this stuff is coming right off the top of my head. I don't want to sound like a dimwit. And somehow I'm able to manage words and sayings that are on the cusp of, is that something that's really enough for you to not question me mostly? But the guy that used to question the show the most, who's now in and out of listenership depending on what kind of mood he is, John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue out there in Idaho, used to keep a list of Rempe-isms, and I've never gotten them from him, which that's my fault. But Assurity is not a word that I can assure you of. Saying Assurity is grammatically incorrect, both audibly and through text. So when you get that alert from Microsoft Word or Google Docs or whatever the hell it is you use to make your papers and lists and whatnot, when it says, that's not right, that's right. The program is right. It's not a word. And fancy footing around is also not a saying. Don't ever say that. I can't believe I said that, but it just happened, but I didn't mean it. Anyway, we continue on. As I set up the Assurity questions for the Embedded Correspondents and myself to go answer, I usually like to keep it in that 4, maybe 5 range, but tonight I just let loose. They were just coming rapidly. And I said, tonight, we're not going to put a limit on 100% Assurity questions. We'll allow the people that are watching to interact as well. We'll read some of their stuff. And if that takes the whole 2 segments, then so be it. That'll be the way it goes. And if not, we have plenty of other topics to dig into. So, long way to go to tell you that the second hour is what you've come to know and love. And the fourth Tuesday, the Embedded Correspondents segment. Don't forget, you can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the never-checked Snappy Chat at BBQ Central Show on all those. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms, Facebook or Twitch/BBQ Central Show, or you can catch it over here on the YouTubes, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we are also asking you a new YouTube poll question of the week, which is asking you this. And be honest. Don't lie like I know you want to. Nobody thinks you're cool or not if you don't know the answer. I'm asking because I have been doing this for so long, sometimes I think a name that I know is something that everybody else knows. Whether you're a greenhorn or whether you're a grizzled vet, jaded, experienced live fire veteran. Sometimes I know names. I just know a lot of names. I've been doing it a long time now. So the question is this. Before last week's interview, you were 100% aware of who Byron Chisholm was. Yes or no? And currently, and I'm happy to say, but who knows how it'll go for 2 hours, 70% of you are saying yes, you knew who he was. Which, by the way, means 30% of you are saying, no, you didn't know who he was. And to me, living in my own vacuum, that's shocking that 30% of you would not know who a legend of barbecue is in Byron Chisholm. Nevertheless, we will continue the poll. I will ask myself next segment if I know who he was before last week's interview, and we'll ask our guests as well. So let's start here this evening. There was a ton of reaction to the press release from Meathead over at AmazingRibs.com last week about his book being delayed until the spring of 2024. Oh, I'm sorry, 2025. And while we will touch on it ever so briefly, dare I say tenderly, in the second hour during the Embedded Correspondents segment, we shall remain patient because I have revealed that next month we will ask Meathead for all of the detail. Well, not next month, but well, yeah, I guess that would be next month, July. We're so close to July, but we're still in June. So next month, as I said, we will ask Meathead himself on exactly what is going on with this book being backed up to 2025. So save your questions. I'll have a full interview with him. In fact, I'll probably tell you more about it next segment. Tim in D.C. is writing, and Greg, I thought Byron Chisholm's interview last Tuesday was great. I had no idea he was such a great amateur motocross rider. I checked out his YouTube story after the interview. That was great as well, but I had not heard of butt rub before, and I will be grabbing some of that at my nearest retailer ASAP. Thank you for the introduction to the legend that is Bad Byron. Thank you, Tim in D.C. 64% of you are now saying you do know who he is. So quickly, the scales are tipping. And don't lie. If you didn't know him, just say it. We're all big boys here, and gals. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures. We love that you can get really hot temperatures for traditional grilling. But you can't get two-zone cooking in the round ceramic cookers. Why? Because, of course, they are round. And I believe, as Meathead has said on more than one occasion, he's the one that pointed it out to the vast live fire public that if you have a ceramic cooker and you want to set up a two-zone fire, you can only do it in one cooker. What one is that? Primo! That's right, PrimoGrill.com. Because of the game-changing and patented oval design, you can build a fire off to the left or off to the right, and then you can put your proteins, sans coals, on the opposite side. True two-zone cooking. Now, they have accessories as well. Pizza oven insert. They have a Primo Grill rotisserie. Not only that, here's the latest that I'm not even getting updates on, and I'm going to have to take issue with Nick Bauer. They now have a Primo branded automatic pit temperature control device. I forget the name of the manufacturer they partnered with. It's not Barbecue Guru. It's like Flame Boss or Pit Boss, one of those. But now it's a package you can buy. So if you want that connected cooker feel, but less expensive and Primo branded, why not check them out? Only sold to dealers, PrimoGrill.com. Follow them on all the social media channels, and we'll be back with me right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. You visit CookinPellets.com and check out what they have for sale. And then once you find the blends that you so desire, go to Amazon.com or Lowe's.com or Walmart.com. All fledgling little websites. Yes, we know. Maybe they'll make it. And to find their way into making it to a successful business career, they offer great shipping rates that the CookinPellets.com website cannot offer. But because CookinPellets.com is a vendor to those locations, Those folks are able to give you great shipping rates, sometimes shipping included. So find what you like at cookandpellets.com. By the way, I have it on good authority, and by good authority means I have an advanced bottle in my hands that cookandpellets.com is coming out with their own steak rub. So if you're looking for a new steak rub or a additional one to add to the arsenal that you already have, go to cookandpellets.com and wait for the drop, or send CB an email and said, hey, Rempy's already promoting the new steak rub that you have out. Put me on the list to notify so I can go over and buy when it's ready. But it smells great. I haven't used it yet because I literally just got it yesterday. But it smells great. I'm looking forward to using it on steak the next time I cook it, which will also be done on that new Charbroil electric cooker to verify results that I got the first steak cook around. So we always have to do everything at least twice on something new before we can really give an honest opinion. So that's where you want to go, cookandpellets.com, and then buy off of walmart.com or lowes.com or amazon.com. This was coming in from Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's show. Welcome to tonight's show. Let's welcome our host, a man who's in love with Sam the Cooking Guy's knives, and the boner is his personal favorite. Greg Rempe got a boner. That's right. Look, I'm friends with Sam. I like Sam as a human being. I like the entertainment value that he brings to the show, of course. However, strictly speaking, as a consumer and a appreciator of knives and what they can bring to the culinary table for those that are both professional or aspiring home chefs, having a singular great knife is magnificent and is important for safety. Well, sharp knife is for safety, but having one that feels good and you can count on, holds the edge for a long time, all of these important things. But then, for Sam to have created a set of cutlery, small Santoku, a Nakiri knife, the chef's knife, this huge 10.5-inch knife, I don't even know what the hell they call it. It's like a small machete. And I'm using it I use it to cut very wide cuts of protein because I can just drag it across and it makes the cut. I don't have to like recenter it and get through the other half. It's very large. Also, the bread knife or the slicer. And then you have the paring knife. And now, of course, the new knife that Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue was referencing, the boning knife or the boner as we call it. All of them are great quality knives. I have no stake in Sam's knife business. I get no kickback. He sends me knives for free, but he doesn't ask me to promote it or whatever. As someone who has handled these knives for months, some for years, they're great. So if you like Sam and you like great knives and you're in need, then I would certainly suggest doing it. And I would say the one I use the most is the chef's knife. That one fits best in my hand, but all the handles are roughly the same. So if the handle fits good from one knife, then there's a good chance. The smaller knife, like the paring knife, I'm not a big paring knife guy anyway, so I could do without that one. But the slicing knife, the boning knife, the chef's knife, the big-ass machete knife, the Nakiri, the Santoku, all great knives. Big fan. Folks, and then there's this. Is there a cat piss update that's coming? Yes, of course. Why? Because I can't seem to get rid of a cat. Of the 4 that I have, the one. And now we have it dialed in. We know who it is. How do we know who it is? Because while my cigar smoking pal, Jeff Andreezy, sent me his hunting cam a number of months ago, I don't know if you remember that, after we had the assassination of my soundboard a number of months ago, then it was like in the beginning of the year, and then there was like from February until June or July before the next set of new mixers were coming in from Sweetwater. I found the one on eBay, saved, thank God, and I've built this great protector over it. We were trying to figure out which cat it was. We thought it was between 2 of them, and I was blaming the wrong cat what we have figured out. It's the really FAF or fat as F cat. We call him Snickers. Now, how do we know it's him? Because on multiple occasions since the assassination of my soundboard, that fat F has peed in the house right in front of us without regard. Like, hey, everybody watch me. I'm going to pee in the house. Not marking, like peeing. I'm not going to say it's like full on quarts of piss, but he's peeing and it's on the wall. I mean, like, it's gross. By the way, this isn't a fancy way for me to make sure that nobody ever asks me to visit. Did you think my house is going to smell like cat piss? I mean, you're not wrong. But we do a really bang-up job. One thing that we have become very expert at is cleaning cat piss in the cracks and the crevices and off walls and on the carpet, finding out which products that are made to take the cat piss smell out of those said areas as well. Spot cleaner with the suction and the wet cleaning thing, blah, 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 carpet cleaner, home-based. So we have a whole process when it happens. But this morning, I get a text message as I'm in the office trying to sell a truck, which is rare, from my wife. Text message out to everybody. Snickers just pissed on the stool, carpet, wall right in front. I'm like, did he do this in front of you? Yes. I can only hope. I said, well, look, the cat's got to go to the vet. We haven't brought the cat to the vet in a year, maybe 2 years, because the cat has got anxiety through the roof. So as soon as you put him in that carrier, what does he do? He pisses in the carrier. Of course. I mean, he pisses everywhere, so why wouldn't he piss in the carrier? And then he's a maniac when he gets to the vet, breathing. The vet's trying to take his, listen to his heart rate. She's like, I can't even get a beat on him. He's getting ready to stroke out. Like, from your lips to God's ears, lady. The best thing that could happen to me is this cat dies on the table. That would be great for all of us. You could charge me an extra $50 to get rid of it. I can go home without it, and the house doesn't have to get pissed on anymore. How about that? It's a win-win-win. But he continues to live every night. I go to bed. Before I lay my head down on my sweet pillow and I say, Dear Jesus, show me that you're real and make Snickers die overnight. And you know what? That cat is still alive every night. And every day. There he is. So, I called up the vet. I'm throwing caution to the wind. I mean, if he dies on the way over to the vet, I'm looking out for the cat's best interest here. I've made an appointment July 7th on a Friday at 8:30 a.m. I'm going to pick him up. And if worst comes to worst, it's only me and him in the house, I'm going to swaddle him in a number of really crappy towels. And if he pees in them, all right, it's not going to get on me. We're going to go to the vet. If he makes the transport alive, I can only hope, because he's getting up in age, that, and I'm going to have to shuck out bucks, which I hate to do for any stupid cat, because you can go get a cat for free on the side of the road every day of the week and twice on Sunday, $0.00. We're going to have to get blood work done. And we're going to have to try and see. We're going to hope, and gang, I'm going to need you to hope with me. We'll cross all fingers and toes that the cat comes back with the degenerative kidney disease, which is incurable, and we can immediately send him out to the put-down booth, and that'll be it for Snickers. So if we can all hope that that's the case in like a week and a half from now, then I would certainly appreciate your positive vibes on the ultimate demise of Snickers. But, of course, that probably won't happen because I'm not that lucky. But that's your latest cat piss update. It is currently still happening in the house. But it's not on the mixer because I have fashioned this great. That's the most important thing. The show's able to happen. Who cares if my whole house smells like cat piss? Who cares? If you come over to my house and you go, hey, what's that cat pissy smell? Well, that's what it is. That's cat piss. As I had mentioned in the show open, the middle of next month is going to look a little weird as it relates to show. So specifically, July 11th, which is, of course, that Meathead segment that we were talking about, talking to him about his book. And then July 18th, so those two middle shows, I'm going to be out of town in Houston, starting the 8th and doing the show remotely. So obviously I have the gear to do a remote show, technically speaking. It's not an easy feat to actually perform the show, not because I'm not in the studio. The downside of the technology here is, in order for me to host remotely, I would have to use up one of the guest lines, which is fine. I would be coming in as a guest and then coming out like this, except I would be like I did it that one time when I had to do the show when the cat pissed on the mixer, right? The bigger issue, or the bigger logistical hurdle that we have to clear, is I actually need a human here in Bomb City, USA, to hit buttons and click things on computer screens to engineer the show, I think is what they call them, to engineer. So I don't really have an engineer. I think both kids are going to be out of town at that point, or they'll be, passing over each other on the 11th or the 18th, one or the other. And to be quite honest, I don't know if I have a lot of desire to teach them how to work things, because if it's not happening just the way that I want it, that's really going to bug me. And certainly I would appreciate their help, but I also have an expectation or standard that I would like to have. So my question is, in lieu of a live show, which is probably not going to happen, it's still up in the air, maybe, but probably not, because, again, having to have somebody here in Cleveland, it's not the me being in Houston part. I have a microphone, I can connect in, all that stuff. It would sound great. But having the live human here presents a problem on a multitude of levels. So, in lieu of that, what would you rather hear? Would you like me to lay down some pre-recorded interviews with the guests that I had booked for those shows, and then either not do live shows and then pump those into the podcast feed on that Wednesday and Thursday with the best ofs on Friday? Or, in lieu of that, would you like to have two best of shows? So I'll go through, shows this year, shows last year, take this segment because everybody liked it from this show and another one from this show, and combine like 3 segments in each hour and have 2 best of show back-to-back weeks. So the better question is this: would you like 2 shows of what I think have been really great content over the last couple of years, and you hear it again, and for those that have never heard it before, you'll be hearing it again for the first time? Or would you like to keep the content new and just have it released in a pre-recorded sense? So that's what I would like to hear from you. You can weigh in on the YouTube chat if you would like to. I'm not going to put that up as a poll, because you can ask me, or you can tell me one way or the other how you like. But that's what I would like to know from you, the show faithful. Alan F. already saying reruns is a good idea, so we'll have to see. Johnny Maggs is asking, would you smoke that cat spread or running position? I wouldn't smoke it at all. It would go right into the burner.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Bill Rempe writing in, best of 100%. All right. By the way, I didn't open the segment with my YouTube questioning me. All right, so let's ask me. Before last week's interview, did I know who Byron Chisholm was? No lying. And I can tell you that I absolutely knew who Byron Chisholm was. For well over a decade, I knew who Byron Chisholm was. I actually knew about him when I first got in and just had my own barbecue forum, if you can believe that, back when that was hot technology. 54% of you are saying you did know him. 46% are saying no, you didn't know him. So we are trending closer to 50-50, which I thought would be more the case. Actually, I didn't think that would be more the case. We are getting closer to 50-50 when I thought it could be a boat race for Yes You Knew. So once again, being surprised on the results of the YouTube poll question of the week. Jeff Andreezy is in for best of. What about John doing a live show on the best moments? Well, here's the problem, Alan. I still, in order to do a live show on the 11th and the 18th, there has to be a human in Cleveland. And this human is not going to be in Cleveland. Connie Rempe, the best of would be best. All right. Another one there. Calvin in Washington State is writing in. Greg, big fan of the show. I've been listening for about a year or so. If I might ask a question. In the open of the show each week, you mention Cleveland as both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, self-explanatory, and you also refer to it as Bomb City, USA. Forgive me for not knowing or being in on the reason you call it that. Do you mind schooling me in this area so I can be part of the group that gets the reference? Podcast listener only. Regards, Calvin. Calvin, that's a great question. And once again, I would hate to just assume that everybody knows what that means. So, in order, Calvin, and for the rest of you who have no idea what it means when I say Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city and Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, like what that means. Does anybody even know what that means? Do you think I'm just being funny, like a clown, like I amuse you? Well, let me tell you. In 1976... Bomb City, USA was born the year Cleveland became Bomb City, USA. When I was 2 years old, Cleveland was the most bombed city in the United States. The assassination and vandalism bombings that had been on the rise throughout the decade culminated in this particularly violent year, leading the national news to dub Cleveland Bomb City, USA.
Bomb City, USA. Cleveland.
Brian Ashman is right, Danny Green. According to a Plain Dealer article from this era, bombing business booming here, Cleveland's national ranking in bomb crimes had skyrocketed since 1974, the best year ever, by the way. The main cause was continued gang war between the Italian families and Danny Green's Celtic Club, group of Irish-American gangsters. Car bombs were a preferred method of assassination because the evidence was often destroyed in the explosion, leaving police with no leads. Although Green allegedly contracted car bombings for years, the turf war escalated after the unexpected death of Cleveland mobster John Scalish in 1976. Scalish's choice for successor, James Licavoli, did not sit well with the Cleveland underworld. As a result, armed traffickers and drug peddlers John Nardi fought to control for Cleveland. Green allied himself with Nardi, helping take out a number of Licavoli's followers and bloating the number of car bombings in Cleveland. Throughout his criminal career, Green had commissioned dozens of car bomb assassinations. Some of these bombings were carried out by Green's go-to bomb expert, Art Snurpenberg. According to Rick Perello, if the bombs grabbed headlines, Art got paid a bonus if things got on television or in the newspapers. Of course, Snurpenberger died when he self-detonated on Halloween night in 1971. And in an ironic twist of death fate, Denny Green was also killed in a car bomb. Yeah. Prophetic, really. Right over in Lyndhurst, which is just west of Cleveland, or west of Mayfield. I go through there all the time. He was at a dentist appointment, and he went back in, got into his car, and Danny Green blew up. Boom, just like that. So, why do I say Bomb City, USA?
Bomb City, USA.
Because Cleveland loved their car bombings between 74, bloating, and 76. How about that? Now everybody's in on the joke. Look at this guy, Doug Durda. Stop setting your river on fire. That joke is so old. Stop having your Hall of Fame quarterback rape women. How about that? I can go back to the same joke that you can go back to the same joke at, Doug. Come on. All right, Derrick Riches is ready to go. Are you tired of settling for mediocre grilling experiences? You're damn right you are. It's time to step up that game and bring the ultimate flavor and ultimate cooker to the backyard barbecues. What's that? Pits and Spits Charcoal Grills, offering the highest quality live fire cooking experiences that you can get in the market today, using either wood or charcoal or both. These solid fuel grills produce the classic flavors you're looking for when you have the time to fire up the grill and cook for the whole family and all the friends. The king of the cul-de-sac, that's what they call you. With a large adjustable fuel tray, you can raise and lower the fire to control and fine-tune the heat. This, of course, is Pits and Spit's take on the very popular Santa Maria-style grill. Let me tell you this. I don't often refer to any grill as being sexy. The charcoal grill is sexy AF, and the AF stands for as friends. Okay? If you haven't seen it, go to pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central Show. Go to Charcoal Cooker and look at that beauty. It's amazing. Now, look, don't get all freaked out by the price tag here, okay? This isn't a 2-season POS grill that you're just going to shit can and buy a new one for $1.380 that following season. This one you buy, I don't know, is it $3,000? Okay. You buy it. You can use it next year and 40 years from now, and then your kids can use it and pass it on to their kids. It's an heirloom. This is quality. Now get pumped up, get over there, and buy 5 or 6 of them. Give them away as gifts. You'll be the hit of Christmas and every other holiday. Why not? Pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central Show. Use promo code Charcoal Central, all one word, Charcoal Central, for $150 off any charcoal grill. Do it now. You'll love it.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard and the Fireboard Spark. You can monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously with the Fireboard 2. You connect to Wi-Fi, cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. It is compatible with most smart speakers. Fireboard.com is the place to go. 816-945-2232 to ask any and all questions about Fireboard 2 or the Fireboard Spark or whatever else they got. They're there to answer your questions. It's the 4th Tuesday of the month, and that means we are going to welcome back our pal, a Barbecue Central Show guest, Hall of Famer, and somebody we missed last month, and we're happy to have him back. It's Derrick Riches. Derrick, before we get into why you evaded us last month, I'm putting the blame solely on you, even though it was my fault. We're going to ask you the YouTube poll question of the week. Before last week's interview that I did, you knew who Byron Chisholm was, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. 56% of the voting public was aware of Byron Chisholm before that, which means 44% were not, which means to me that my listening audience is either A, younger than me, or, God forbid, or they are just getting into the industry. Maybe they got in during the pandemic boom. They found the show. They're in love with my entertainment and monthly segments with Derrick Riches, but just don't have the background that you or I do on some of these legends. As I said in the open, I shudder to think that names that I would just casually throw out or drop as big names, what percentage of folks that I would walk around and mention them to would go, I have no idea who that is. What do you think?
Oh, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. But, I mean, I've known Byron for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. We've had a lot of email back and forth over the years. But, no, you're right. There's a lot of people in the barbecue world, and they might be pretty niche for either where they live or what they do. And a lot of people don't just, I don't know, aren't getting introduced to them enough.
Byron, on his YouTube video, the autobiography, whatever you want, documentary, says that Butt Rub, the Rub, has generated $50 million worth of sales over its lifespan. You believe that?
Yeah. I mean, it's been around for a long time. And, it was a big mainstay of so many barbecue stores and stuff, being one of the first that was kind of like commercially distributed, to the hardcore barbecue community. That sounds like a lot of money. But I guess if you divide it out, maybe. I mean, I'd take that, but
yeah, no doubt, I would take that in a heartbeat. You have done it again.
Have I?
You have set controversy, a buzz on the internet. Last year, you did it for the very first time. This year, you have decided to double down. Now, what am I talking about? Last year, you put out a post on your website, DerrickRiches.com, that said, I don't know if it was the top 5 or if it was a top 10 most popular barbecue and grilling websites. And we talked all about it. Was that 2 years ago now?
I think it was 2 years
all right,
ago.
I think so now that you're mentioning it.
This is the third time I've done it.
So, well, maybe I missed the very, very first one, but I remember.
No, I think you missed last year.
Maybe. Oh, shame on me for doing that. I'm sorry. The very first one, I was introduced to Joe Clement over at Smoked Barbecue Source. That was the one that seemed to be the lightning rod for a lot of folks going, well, okay, everybody seems to know Hey Grill Hey, Susie Bullock, blah, blah, blah. See her all over the place. But number 2, Smoked Barbecue Source. Like, what the hell is that? And then you go to the website, and not that it's not a great website, but it doesn't seem to be something that stands out from a visual or an aesthetic standpoint as being avant-garde or I don't know. But there it was, and we talked all about it. And so this year I see a post, or earlier, a couple weeks ago, I see a post, and here it is, top 10 most popular barbecue and grilling websites here in 2023. So I thought we would go over this list. But before we do that, why don't you refresh us on your method of arriving to these top 10 websites?
Let me put it this way. This kind of started out from a conversation I was having with somebody about like who's big in barbecue. And this is probably like 4 years ago. And I had been doing some consulting with somebody who paid a lot of money for very detailed metrics of the most popular barbecue sites and who was getting traffic. And it was very niche. And, there were NDAs involved, and I wasn't to like reveal the data, but I kind of worked a way around to reconstruct it from other sources. But the thing of it is it's like, I'm looking at this list, I'm looking at the data that this company has, and I'm going, most people have never heard of these people. So let's throw that out there and kind of see what the reaction is, because, that's just it. There's people who are, creating content and you don't hear about them, or you don't know about them, or, they're Byron Chisholm and 44% of people have no idea who you're talking about. That sort of thing. So that's kind of where that came from.
Can you be, obviously, I guess the answer is yes. Can you be popular and not be known?
Yeah. Actually, look, you go to the grocery store.
I want to sign up for
products.
that. I want to be popular and not be known at the same time.
Oh, yeah. It's like rich and famous. I'll take rich, please.
Yeah, of course.
I don't need the fame. I don't care. But you can be very successful, with a website, with the YouTube channel, on TikTok or whatever, without necessarily making it all about you, without being kind of the lightning rod of attention. And there's just a lot of people, that's what they would rather do. They don't, they're like, I'm enthusiastic about this. I want to create content about this, but nobody knows who I am and nobody's going to care who I am.
So I think where the thing that I can't wrap my head around that is, I understand what you're saying. They want to be behind the scenes, or they want the brand to be out there in front and center versus me as an individual doing it. But to that point, then I should know. I should have heard about Smoked Barbecue Source, or I mean, on this list that you've just generated, 1, 2, 3, 4, half the list I've never heard of in my life. Not even in passing with some of the most knowledgeable people that scour the internet and know live fire, but never have mentioned these sites ever.
That is one of the surprising things. And look, if 85% of your traffic is coming from somebody putting in a Google search, that doesn't exactly create brand recognition. People are going to your site, they're using your content, they're engaging with it, but it's not, it's not a brand, it's just money. It's just traffic. That's kind of what it is. And it is still possible to do that in this world.
So how are you arriving on these top 10s? What's your process?
So I still have access to industrial ComScore data because I still do some of that kind of consulting, and there are people that are like, hey, look through these numbers, tell us what you think, and I still do that sort of thing. What I do use is a variety of metrics, which I've kind of, there's things like SEMrush, and there's some different website traffic monitoring systems out there that people can actually get access to. And I've written out the math to weight different things in different ways to reproduce what the best metric analysis is coming up with without revealing the data that I'm not legally allowed to share. Or I could share, but the cost to me would be astronomical. I don't want to. I don't like lawsuits. I avoid them. They've been bad in the past, so I avoid that sort of thing.
Would your numbers correlate to? I always hear about the Google stats being the end all be all of true traffic. So are your figures or are your data, do they correlate to what a Google would be?
It's not a direct measurement. Google Analytics, what you're referring to, is basically a way of getting real-time reports about what your website is doing. It tells you who's visiting your site, where they're coming from, how long they're spending, that sort of stuff. And you have to install that into your website to monitor it that way. So this is more like Nielsen ratings, which measures people and their habits using the internet, as well as a number of some of the internet server arrays through which that traffic travels. I mean, there does get to be math involved, but it's done through sampling. So it would be analogous to, how successful a local radio station is doing in your metric, or how popular a television show is. It's not a direct measurement of everyone. It is a direct measurement of enough people to give you good numbers.
Coming in at number 10, we're working our way up to number 1. Long distance dedication coming up at number 5. Our pal, Jess Pryles. JessPryles.com.
Yes.
Now, I'll have to say, I'm shocked that she made the top 10 list.
Wasn't there last year? Was there 2 years ago, I think, and kind of came back in. Jess is doing so many other things these days. I don't think there's been a ton of update to the website, but there's a lot of content there. So, she's working with different groups and doing lots of different stuff. So I don't know how much the website is like core to her business, but it's still performing really well.
Number 9. And let's start the list of people I've never heard of. Or Whatever You Do at orwhateveryoudo.com.
Yeah, that's this is Nicola and Jeremiah Johnson. They've been doing this site for...
Why do I know that name, Jeremiah Johnson? West Coast guy?
It was a movie. It was my dad's favorite movie, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I know this guy. Hold on. Jeremiah. Yeah, Jeremiah Johnson. So I was communicating with this guy. I have to assume this is the same guy. It's barbecue related.
Okay, probably is, yeah.
From August 31st, 2011, he put together an interview with the show and one of the lead rapper of Moonshine Bandits, Big Tex. How about that?
Yeah, that's new to me. They've been running the website, I think, now about 5-6 years. Heavy pellet grill oriented. It's just been kind of steady there. It just kind of keeps plugging away. This is kind of it's been like between 8th and 11th place for like 3 or 4 years now.
That's what it looks like. Or whateveryoudo.com. So, kind of everyday ham and egger look. Maybe WordPress, something like that, probably.
I think most of these sites are WordPress sites.
Number 8. And another one I've never heard of. Gimme some grilling. Ever heard of it?
Yeah. So, Evink.
Jason and Julie.
Right. Jason and Julie. They had, she had a really successful food blog from a million years ago, and they kind of wanted to venture out into outdoor cooking. So this one came up. I have a date for it as 2018. And it's been pretty consistently where it is now. Yeah. People you don't know, but they've been plugging away at it. Got a lot of content there. And, I'm not, like I've said, I don't judge the value of the content, just how popular it is. And that's not a knock. I'm not trying to diss.
No, I get it. Number 7, Food, Fire, and Friends. Never heard.
This has been around for quite a while. So this is a guy out of England. Got big into barbecue again about 5-6 years ago. Put up this site.
Mark Jenner, founder and chief editor. Okay.
Mark Jenner. It's been kind of it was actually like a top 5. It's been kind of slowly losing traffic a bit relative. So there's a bit of an English push on it, but it's a pretty broad topic.
All right. Number 6. Cat Heads Barbecue. Never heard of it.
Yeah, this is really new. So Cat Heads Barbecue was a catering company in California. And due to, events of the last couple of years, kind of had to get out of the catering business. So they just took like a decade of food catering, live fire cooking, barbecue stuff, and turned this into this website. It's about 600-700 pages of content. It's big. It's got a lot of content to it. Just popped up there real fast. My suspicion is that it popped up there because it was new, because so much went into it so fast. My feel is it's going to fade over the next year slowly, but that happens a lot with the way the internet works.
The next one at 5, dropping 2 spots from the last time I remember, and one who probably many people think would be number 1 is AmazingRibs.com. How can we be at number 5?
Because that's where it's at. Goldwyn's been around. He's been doing this for 15, 16 years. It's a big site. It's got a lot to it. It hasn't had a lot of updating to it in the last 5 or 6 years. So a lot of the content is, as far as the Google search engine goes, it's not fresh. It's not new. That's kind of, I think, what's hitting it. So, but yeah, it hasn't been, it was number 1 maybe 5 years ago. Hasn't been there since.
Number 4, Here's one that I have heard of, finally. Vindulge.
Yeah.
That's Mary right there.
Yeah. You know, it started out as kind of like wine and grilling and just grew into a whole ton of barbecue stuff. They've got a book, they've got a lot of content, a lot of video. Actually heard from Sean, her husband.
Yeah.
Mary Kressler and Sean Martin. I heard from Sean this morning, just like, hey, thanks for mentioning. Good to hear from you again. And Vindulge has been pretty consistent in the whole business.
Number 3, right back to never heard of it. The Online Grill.
Yeah, this is
very generic looking. Okay,
It's a very generic look. There's a ton of content in here. A lot of product reviews, a lot of recipes, a lot of information.
Original content, Derek?
It is, because I checked. Yeah? I mean, nothing comes. I've checked all of these, and nothing comes up as plagiarized. That doesn't mean that it's not sourced from other places and rewritten. Because 99.9% of the internet is sourced from other sources and rewritten. That's, of course, 99% of books are sourced from other sources and rewritten. So that is our world. I also did some checking for AI generated content, and none of the top 10 are dumping AI generated in yet. We'll see what, a year from now, this could be very different. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, they could make that a little bit better.
Online Grill is a little bit different because it's run by a guy named Ben, and Ben's profile picture is a stock image off of Getty. So I don't know who Ben is. I don't know what Ben looks like, but it's constantly updated. There's a ton of content there. It's constantly being worked on.
All right. And then number 2, number 1 haven't changed, at least the last time I checked. Number 2, Smoked Barbecue Source, which of course was Joe Clement, a original New Zealander who now lives in Australia and has a massive website here, and does a good job at updating content. He's gone ahead and contracted this guy here, Jeff Rice, or Ricer on YouTube, to do. Jeff has actually turned into turned the career into doing grill reviews and a bunch of other product reviews if you follow his YouTube channel. So
no, he certainly has.
Yeah, no surprise here at number 2, and then of course number 1 is our pal Susie Bullock from Hey Grill Hey, and of course we know she's certainly mega popular, and
she is.
She's been number 1 then for like the last 3 years in a row.
Yeah, probably closer to 4.
Yeah, and is it strong? Like, is she boat racing the field?
She's still way out there.
Yeah,
it's still a pretty strong lead. Yeah, I mean, Smoked Barbecue Source has been hedging up. It's been gaining, but it hasn't been able to overtake. So, I don't know what will, I don't know what'll transpire in a year. I can make guesses, but
in a year from now, do you think that the top 5 will remain the same, or will there be more new than the same?
I think it'll, as long as they keep doing what they're doing, I don't see that there's going to be a ton of change in the top 5.
But we could see a new bottom 5.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think people are getting out of this blogging now that the pandemic's over and people are going back to whatever a normal life is or was?
Of all the sites that I kind of keep monitoring on, more than half haven't been updated in 6 months. So yeah,
got called back to the office.
Yeah, they got called back to the office. They went somewhere else. They didn't feel like they were getting any traction. They
got bored.
They got bored. They decided knitting was cool. I mean, people, I see that a lot. There are people who are like, oh, this is everything. They blog for 2 years and then they're doing something entirely different 2 years later.
Yeah.
And in general, blogs don't have the popularity they did 10 years ago. I mean, there's kind of, there's more social media. TikTok has certainly kind of killed a lot of stuff. YouTube has certainly been cutting into the topic space. All those podcasts, they're just ruining websites, that sort of thing. But
what's the best thing you're working on here that is going to be coming out here soon?
I did just put out a piece a couple, 2 days ago on the food safety temperatures, the meat cooking temperatures and why they're wrong.
Oh,
and
really?
Why what you know about them is wrong.
Do you are you sciencely backed up on that?
Yeah, and I'm sciencely backed up from the people who created the rules in the first place.
All right. But by the way, for everybody listening, I just said sciencely. That is wrong. So don't use that tomorrow. Add it to the list, whatever you want to do. The show open, I was talking about words I've made up. So sciencely is definitely not a real word. I'm just
We can make it one.
That's right. Well, see, you used it right away. And
right, sciencely.
I'm sure immediately
I like
people were like, oh, okay, well, sounded wrong.
Although
Derrick immediately used it. He's smart.
I would use it as that sounds sciencely.
Yes, right. The sound of sciencely. It could be a new pun song that we work on. All right. DerrickRiches.com is producing content over at DerrickRiches.com. Read the new temperature, and then next month we'll talk about it and learn why we're wrong and how we get right.
All right.
All right. Have a great 4th. Then. All right. See you.
You too. Bye.
Derrick Riches. Derrick is in luck because I will be back for a live show on that 4th Tuesday. It's the middle 11th and 18th that are either going to be best of or new pre-recorded content release. So we'll talk about all of that, or I'll keep you up to date on all of that. But Derrick Riches at DerrickRiches.com, and we are a little late, but well worth it. Again, from 1 to 10, HeyGrillHey.com, SmokedBBQSource.com, TheOnlineGrill.com, VinDulge.com, AmazingRibs.com, CatHeads, plural, BBQ.com, FoodFireFriends.com, GimmeSomeGrilling.com, or WhateverYouDo.com, and JustPriles.com. The 10 most popular barbecue and grilling websites right now. Agree, disagree? Give me your favorite. Love to hear it. We'll add it. All right, we'll come back and wrap the first hour. We'll get an update on the YouTube poll question of the week and get ready for the second hour. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Derrick Riches for joining us last segment. DerrickRiches.com, his website, and I'll be as quick as I can about getting out of here. Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue is writing in, I need help building a website. Anyone here that can help? Well, I can. Jottful.com, Jottful, Jottful.com is the website. That's who I use to make my sweet-ass new website. Joe, if you're really serious, let me know. Email me, and I'll make a connection with you and my Jottful representative, Natalie, and she might be able to help you out. If you're just being funny, work on comedy, because that's not a good joke. It's not fun. It's not fun. All right, we are pointing to the second hour. Refresh the libations, and we'll be back shortly. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about the most important things that are happening here in the barbecue and grilling community and industry. The show taking place live every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, and we're also recording where you can get a podcast if you missed the first hour. Too bad. But since we are recording for podcast, hour number 1 will be out tomorrow, hour number 2 will be out Thursday, and we'll talk about Friday here in just 1 second. Still to come on the show this evening, the Embedded Correspondents will be in. We have extended 100% Assurity Questions coming out. We have other topics that we'll be diving into. We say good evening to those of you watching through our video streaming platform. You can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. Also, you can take in this show via YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we also have a YouTube poll question of the week, getting you caught up on that. Before last week's interview, I'm asking you, were you 100% aware of who Byron Chisholm was? And you're not allowed to lie. The answers are yes or no. And currently, and it's starting to trend in the other direction, 61% of you are saying yes, you knew who he was. 39% of you are saying no, you didn't know who he was. So still a little lower than I thought as far as name recognition. But once again, as we were talking with Derrick, and as I had made mention in the show open, maybe names that are just everyday to me are not everyday to everybody else, and that's the problem when you go into the minutia of any industry. You just get to know a lot of stuff and know a lot of people and know what their histories are, and that could be what I'm fighting with here in Byron Chisholm. I mean, there's 3 flies that are like small planes going around me. I don't even know how they got in the house, and they're big. They make me feel like something's dead in the studio somewhere, and they've gotten this big because they've been eating whatever's dead, and I can't find it. And they're like probably just out of camera shot. When I had the camera turned off in the transition from hour 1 to hour 2, I have the sparky thing, you know? Will it spark if I do this? No. How about this? Yeah. And so I'll electrocute him, like the electric tennis racket. So if you see me all of a sudden and I'm like, that means one is coming close and I'm trying to take it out. But I took one out. And there's 2 more rolling around here. And I can't believe the size of these things. How are they getting this big? Jesus Christ. I mean, I got cats pissing all over the house. I got flies that are flying around that are size of small single prop airplanes. So, can we move at this point? Can I please leave? Coming up this Friday on the Best Moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, episode 288. Take that in for a moment. Episode 288. I don't know what the nearest barbecue-related podcast is to the Best Moments show. Maybe it's Kevin, not Kevin Sandridge, but the other Kevin Kelly. Is that what his name is? Who does the barbecue interviews? He's been doing it a long time. I'm sure he's got more than 288 episodes. Certainly nobody has more episodes than me in the bank on the Barbecue and Grilling website, or in the Barbecue and Grilling space. But it could be Barbecue Central Show and then Kevin's barbecue interviews. I should have him on the show. I fear he would opt against the USB mic because he's never instituted one in his show, ever. He's got like the fold-up background behind him, and then he does it with the old-school wired iPod headphones or Apple iPhone earbuds with the inline mic. That's how he does it. I don't know if he uses a computer, if he just uses his phone or whatever, but he does incredible amount of content. There's no doubt about it. I should have him on the show. We should talk about his career. But after Kevin, it's got to be John at 288 episodes. It's crazy, the amount. 288. Can you imagine? I'm not sure how many years that is, but if I do quick math, 288, 52, 22, that's like 748 years. Good for you, John. Good Lord. Look at the work he's doing. And I'm paying him a pittance. You should have quit years ago, John. Anyway, we take you back to June 18th, 2013, and keep in mind, we are now in the midst of a 4-part mini-series that John has put together. Some might call this an epic. And we roll on as this mini-series features me, my sister Kate, her friend Lindsay. At the time, they were college roommates at Kent State. Week 1, what were we talking about? Barbecue baby names. Last week, we were talking about bacon everything. And this week, we continue that topic. There may or may not be mention of a barbecue-flavored condom. There is indiscriminate yelling in the background, which is weird. I listened to it like 7 times, and I'm like, who the hell is yelling in the background? I can't even make out of. I can hear somebody yelling in the background. I have no idea who it is. At that point in our life, there were people going in and out of the house. It was like a flop house in Euclid. It was bizarre times back then. So I didn't have a nice quiet space like I got here in the basement. People just coming in and out of the house. Rang-tang Tuesday. Ward 4 is going on like crazy. There's nonsense and tomfoolery always afoot in the Euclid house. So that's why there's indiscriminate yelling in the background. There is a mention of the famed bacon explosion. And of course, how do you follow up a reference to bacon explosion? I can guarantee you there is going to be a really bad, and by bad I mean great, French accent. What aren't you going to hear this week? That's the better question. And there's still one left to go. The coup de grace of the 4-part series. As I mentioned last week, if you're just finding this show for the first time, or you're just a fan of the Best Moment Show and you've missed the first 2 weeks, do yourself a favor. Go back and listen to part 1, then part 2, then take in part 3 for proper context of listening, for listening continuity. Listen to part 1, listen to part 2, then listen to part 3. It's not that you can't get the general idea if you just decide to pop in on number 3 first and then go back and listen, but as far as getting the whole experience, this is one of those instances where you might want to listen to 1 and then 2, then take in 3. You can subscribe to the show by visiting the bbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. And don't forget, if you want to hear a segment or guest that you think has been lost in the archives, email John. Let him know you'd like to hear, JON@thebbqcentralshow.com. Or if you would just like to tell John he's doing a great job, use that email and say, John, you're doing a great job. I have no suggestion. I have no wants. I'm just a happy camper. You're doing a great job. Just like last week, there was no Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series this past weekend. And just like last week, the next Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series event will be happening on July 8th. So we still have a good run of time between now and then. So if you're interested on finding out the past results in those first handful of events, go to famousdaves.com/All-Star BBQ Series and see what's going on there. And because everybody was talking about it here over the last couple days, and I didn't have a show over the last couple days, this is something we'll be talking about, I'm sure, over the next, who knows, maybe it even won't be that long, but you probably saw it. USDA approved lab-grown chicken meat. That's right.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I'm crediting my pal Nick in Texas for the email alerting me to this. But if you can't stand chicken from a chicken, you know, raising it from an egg, feeding it, taking it to a slaughterhouse, murdering it in cold blood and then tearing all the feathers off of that mother effer and having it ready to eat. You don't like that? Good for you. Lab-grown chicken meat is in the mix. It's really happening. They grow it in vats, cellular extraction, and then they grow it in vats. It's very expensive, but way more humane. Chicken farts aren't polluting the air. And this can only mean what? It's only a matter of time. And I think it's actually happened before. Was it like 2 or 3 years ago? Some company was talking about lab-grown full-ass briskets. I remember having that conversation with Daniel Vaughn years ago. I don't know where the hell that was, really. But I remember having that conversation. Laboratory-grown, full-packer briskets. Well, here it is with chicken in vats. It's happening. Restaurants have already lined up to buy it. How does $20 a pound for chicken sound? Not good for me. That's not good for me. Maybe it's good for you. I didn't even get to everything I wanted. I need another open segment, but we have the Embedded Correspondents coming up, so we'll have to wait for that. Do I want to put it on hold? Do I want to wait? Let's just go ahead and get rid of it now, and we'll see how the next 2 segments play out. Hey, Big Papa Smokers is the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. They have the championship rubs and seasonings, 13 perfectly balanced flavors to increase the skills in the backyard or to help you win grand championships on the competition circuit. It's done both for years and years, might I say a decade. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce that isn't like all the rest, or you're tired of what's out there, you're done with open pit, you want a divorce, try Granny's barbecue sauce. It will remind you of why you fell in love with barbecue in the first place. And they're selling cookers. If you're looking for a easy smoker to use that's versatile, Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker, Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive online dealer. If you don't know what grill you need, call them and ask questions, 877-828-0727. And if you're lucky, Sterling Ball will pick up the phone himself and say, Big Papa Smokers. He's going to help you. What's better than that? 877-828-0727 or shop the website at bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPASMOKERS, bigpapasmokers.com. We're back. The Embedded Correspondents right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, we welcome everybody back, and joining us here on the 4th Tuesday of the month in the second hour, of course, they are our pals, the Embedded Correspondents. That's Doug Scheiding just to the right of me, and there's John Solberg from Michigan just below me, and then, of course, our pal Rusty Monson, diagonally bottom right to me from the great city of Utah and Salt City's pitmaster. Yes, Rusty, go ahead.
I was just pointing out Doug's sweet-ass hat. That's all. I was just pointing up at him.
Oh, yes, look at it. John, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm going to say we're both pretty salty, no pun intended, for Salt City Barbecue, that we also didn't get hats. By the way, I mean, I wouldn't wear it, but I didn't get one. John, would you wear that hat?
I would wear that hat.
You would?
I need to slap some leather and get one and support my brother, I guess.
Rusty, can we go to saltcitybbq.co and buy them at that location, or how does one get their hands on a merch hat?
Yeah, most people can. I put the merch down because we sold out of shirts, but I'll send you guys both a shirt and a hat, and I will require you to wear it on the show at least once every 6 months.
Do you have a white shirt?
I don't know. I had a mock-up and it's hella sick. I might have one, but I don't think I'm going to do it anytime soon.
I like white shirts, so just hold on to that until you decide to do a white shirt. Look at Doug's shirt. We're like brothers from different mothers. I mean, we're all representing ourselves. John is holding firm to no association with anybody, and 75% of us are cross-promoting like crazy bitches. But nevertheless, here we are for the ever-popular Embedded Correspondents segment. Before we get to the 100% the 100% Assurity questions, let me ask you guys the YouTube poll question of the week, which I think I know the answers here, but I'm hemming and homming on one person's answer specifically. Doug, we'll go to you first. Before the interview last week, you knew exactly who Byron Chisholm was, yes or no?
Yes, but I've never rubbed my butt.
All right. John, before last week's interview, you knew exactly who Byron Chisholm was.
Yes.
Yes.
I knew.
Rusty, before the interview last week, you knew exactly who Byron Chisholm was, yes or no?
It was the very first rub I ever bought, so yes.
Really? All right. I got to say, you were the one I was on the fence on about knowing. You have a dog behind you, or is that a cat?
That's my dog. I'm by myself today in the house, so he's going to be around me today.
All right. Well, if we need anybody to break a tie or we need a quorum, we'll bring the dog in and figure out what answer that dog is saying. What's the dog's name, Rusty?
It's Roscoe.
Roscoe. Oh, all right, great. So we have a huge list of 100% Assurity questions here, and as I had mentioned in the show open, why not throw caution to the wind here and have an extended 100% Assurity question? Most people love when we're going back and forth on these. John, do you have an internet connection problem tonight?
I'm aware of.
Yeah, you're very choppy. Disconnect and come back in. John doing his best Doug Scheiding impression tonight. All right, 100% Assurity question. John will jump in here in just a second, and we'll get rolling. Rusty, we'll start with you here this evening. 100% yes or 100% no. I should have dumped the entire Daniel Vaughn segment last week when his mic was determined to be inoperable.
You know, I would say no, just because he's a national treasure.
A national treasure. All right.
Yes.
Doug, yes or no?
Of course, I have to say no. And also, given my few, and also his the topics of the people passing was very timely and needed to be talked about. I didn't think it was that bad.
John, 100% yes or 100% no. I should have dumped the entire Daniel Vaughn segment last week when his mic was determined to be inoperable.
100% yes.
And in my own question, because I live here, 100% yes, I should have dumped it. But I didn't. I pussed out, but I should have done it. Now, look, in my defense, to be then hypocritical of being hypocritical, I do think the topic that Doug had referenced was also important to talk about. So I cut myself a little slack, but I do agree with John. I probably should have dumped it. And I think I cut him a little slack, too, because he brought the mic. He made the effort. So I felt like, if he wouldn't have done it or he lied about it and I caught him in a lie, I probably would have dumped it. But he made the effort. I have no idea why the mic shit on him, but it was inoperable. There we go. All right, we're split on that one. John, next question. By the way, your connection's much better here for whatever reason, so we'll stick with that. For the July 11th, and it's a tough time with my new lips here in the second hour. For the July 11th and July 18th shows, in lieu of creating two best of shows not related to what you do every Friday, John, I should pre-record new material and air them as live shows.
Pre-record and air them as live. Continue hypocrisy lifestyle.
Right. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. In lieu of creating two best of shows, I should pre-record new material and air them as live shows.
This is a tough question, and I oscillated back and forth, but my final answer is yes. Do it.
Rusty, I should pre-record new material and air it as live shows in lieu of two best of shows.
I mean, it didn't work out for Milli Vanilli. So, but if you want to, I think you should. You know, you got people who will listen. So I think yes.
What do I think about that? So I love the best of shows that John does, because those are best moments shows. But since I like to produce new material each and every week, even though it's not live, it would be new, and I can just release it into the podcast feed. So while there might not be a live show Tuesdays on the 11th and 18th, there would be new material. So I believe I've talked myself into agreeing with all of you guys. I will do with that. So everybody that said best of, pound salt. You're going to get new content whether you like it or not. Next question. Doug? 100% yes or 100% no. Meathead announced that his book was going to now be delayed until the spring of 2025. 100% yes or 100% no. This confirms to you that this book will indeed never make it to the shelf.
Nope, it's going to happen.
All right. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. This confirms to you that this book will never happen.
I think it'll happen, of course. I think, yeah, for sure.
John, it will happen?
No, it'll never happen. It's not going to happen. Look it. This book is never going to make it to the shelf. What's wrong with you two?
I'm here to agree with Doug and Rusty because Meathead is under contract. Okay. I got to contradict myself. He's already been under contract one other time with book number 2 and shit it away. I get it. I understand that background. I've taken that into consideration for my answer. He has re-signed. I don't think if he ever even considers wanting to make a book 3, which he's also referenced, by the way, in this book 2 fiasco that's already going on, that there could be another third book floating around somewhere. So as an author and business person, which we might question, I don't think he can dump the second book again and think that he could possibly ever get a third book deal, or I guess what would then be a second book deal again. And anybody would take him seriously. So I'm agreeing. There's no way he's not going to do it. That is going to happen. And he's well deep into it. Like the manuscript is in. There's plenty of hurdles he's cleared to make me believe that this is going to be. By the way, I love that John, without batting an eyelash, says that this is not going to happen. He is so firm in his convictions, and I love that about John. Next question. Back to you, Rusty. 100% yes or 100% no. If you owned a business and you had a number of very bad reviews on your website, you would leave them up for everybody else to see.
If I had the option to take them down, I would take them down.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Doug, yes or no, you would take them down?
On my website, you damn straight I'm taking them down.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. John, 100% yes or 100% no. If you had very bad reviews on your website, you would leave them up for everyone to see.
No, I'm taking them down.
I agree with John and Rusty. There's no effing way bad reviews. I read my bad reviews in Apple Podcasts, and I cannot take them down. And they cut me to my very core. Barbecue Central shows 120 minutes, and 118 of those minutes are nothing but commercials. Well, fuck off! Man's got to make a living, for crying out loud. Go beat up Rusty for crying in the sink. So I'm taking him down, too. I'm with you guys. All right, let's go back to John. John, regardless of the current options available in the market, you would rather go without any kind of outdoor heating appliance or device. 100% yes or 100%?
100% no. I enjoy an outdoor heating device.
All right. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. Regardless of the current options available in the market, you would rather go without any kind of heating device.
Hell no. That's like the best part of summer.
Yeah? Doug, yes or no?
Nope. I've got to burn from a solo stove to prove it.
All right. I'm a no too. I have solo stove, rarely use it. I have a brand new timber stove from Tyson Traeger that I can talk more in depth about later. And, you know, the only thing, John, you have a smaller timber stove, some kind of generation of timber stove that you have. What do you like about that?
You know, in the fall, in the winter, when I am cooking out there, I kind of like having the fire right there. I don't have to deal with the fire pit. Kind of burns. You're standing there cooking. To me, it's almost an ambiance or an atmospheric condition that I enjoy about it.
Do you get any heat off of it?
Oh, you got to stand underneath it. You got to kind of cuddle up to it like you would a fire in the winter. But no, it doesn't radiate out a lot of heat in the winter when it's, 22 degrees out there.
Yep. So he sent me a big timber, which is one of their bigger versions. And granted, it is the summer here, although today felt like cold spring. I love the fire. I guess the only thing that it's not that I don't like it. The one thing that it doesn't have is it gets going and the vent is open, which actually makes the fire cooler. And there's a great blazing fire, and it's, as John said, aesthetically pleasing. There's still a lot of heat kicking off of it in its cool mode. And if you close the vent and the thing really stokes, that thing will put out some heat. I would almost like to dial back the heat a little bit more. However, the only way I know how to do that is not with that appliance at all. It would be retreating back to the liquid propane heat umbrella, which I don't like at all because it was only just getting the top of my head warm, nothing else on my body. So having the fire at the on the floor and getting that heat radiating off of the fire, it's a great. Like the appliance is great. It's totally solid built. I mean, I love it. But that would be my only, again, not complaint. My only nitpick is that I can't dial the heat back even a little further on a super hot night. I wouldn't mind having just the fire, but I could sit away from it a little bit further if I wanted to. But you know me, I want the best of everything. And I want it all, and I want it all right now. And the next question is this. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. Tomahawk steaks, no matter how someone spins them to you, are a waste of money.
Absolutely yes. Get a cowboy cut.
John, 100% yes or 100% no. Tomahawk steaks, no matter how someone spins them to you, are a waste of money.
I'm rolling with get a cowboy. 100% waste of money.
Rusty, yes or no?
Hell yes. People need to stop doing that shit. Come on. Jesus Christ.
Well, I believe we have what they call a majority here on this one. I am also with you on a complete waste of money. Now, in full disclosure, this question is born out of me watching Adam Perry Lang twist 40 or 50 ridiculously large tomahawk steaks on a Weber Ranch charcoal grill at one of his pop-ups out there and wherever the hell he operates. He's going all around, and I merely commented, I'm paraphrasing, unpopular take, tomahawk steaks, waste of money, just get a ribeye, don't pay for the bone. I get the flash presentation, but you can't eat the bone either. And Adam Perry Lang replied back to me and said, in this case, and I'm working the ranch kettle, tongs would somehow hurt the spinalis on these, and I want to keep everything intact, and the handle for the tomahawk in this case is why I'm doing it, and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, all the APL apologists start piling on me. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't know steak, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't bother defending myself because you can't possibly keep up with the herd. But they were steamrolling me to a healthy degree. It was kind of embarrassing. And I loved it at the same time. But I don't like Rusty. Do you believe that he needs to have tongs in order to maintain the integrity of the spinalis if you have 40 steaks on a ranch kettle?
Stick a fucking toothpick in it, bro. Like, you don't need a big ass like bone. You know what I'm saying? Like, how stupid is that? Like, there's so many tools, and just be careful. You know, I've cooked 1,000 steaks in my life, and few spinalis just fall off. I don't need to go buy a tomahawk because of it.
But Doug, if you're manning a ranch kettle at ballistic heat with 40 or 50 tomahawk steaks, would you rather have the built-in handle, or do you think you could work that kettle with tongs or gloved hands or who knows what else? Doug?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were talking to Rusty. I thought you
said
made a mistake. So you did. I thought it was a mistake. Yeah. A cowboy cut also has a handle on the damn thing too. And I'm also surprised that we're mentioning APL for the second week running, which given the past history, but
was it the second week? Did I mention him last week?
Yeah, was it last week or the week before?
I don't think I mentioned
it. Oh, don't tempt me. I'll find it.
Okay. I don't recall. John, did I mention APL last week?
APL, it was last week or the week before.
I cannot confirm or deny. I'll let Doug go to the tape.
All right, you go to the tape, Doug, and call me out. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. However, I just don't remember. Remember, you're talking to the same guy who once had a personal phone call with Mr. Willingham, and I don't recall, like, one of the legends in the industry, and I don't recall ever having that phone conversation with him. Just like the best of that John has put together. I don't remember any of those conversations that I have with my sister and her college roommate from 2013 or whatever. I don't even remember that happened. So I don't not believe you. I just don't remember mentioning him. And I understand what you're saying. And I don't usually go out of my way to mention him, but he jumped in on a take that I had, so I figured I would ask you guys. So we all agree with that. John. The FDA, or USDA, has just approved the cellular lab growing of chicken meat, where they're extracting cells and growing chicken meat in large vats. Whenever it becomes available for sale to the consuming public, you will be the first in line to buy it, even if it's $20 a pound.
Yes, I will be first in line to buy it, even if it's $20 a pound.
John, always ready to try something new, whether it's real meat or not. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. Whenever it becomes available for sale to the consuming public, you will be the first in line to buy cellularly grown derived chicken meat, even if it's $20 a pound.
Hell yeah. That sounds awesome.
All right. Doug, yes or no?
Not a chance, no.
Once again, Doug and I align like brothers from other mothers. There's no way in hell I'm buying a lab-grown chicken. Not that I'm against it. Not $20 a pound. Like $20 a pound, I can buy steak for $20 a pound all day, every day, 4 times on Sunday. There's no way I would opt for chicken at $20 a pound. Rusty, what interests you about vat-grown chicken at $20 a pound?
Because it's cool. Yeah, man, it's made from a lab. That's pretty badass. The humans are cool, man. So I'm gonna eat that lab chicken for sure. I want to give it a shot.
John, what's your intrigue? Just because you're a non-hater of all in any protein?
I've been an adopter of trying all this stuff so far. Why would I all of a sudden we need deep in this technology plant to a soil it green as people? Of course I have to carry on my tradition, say yay or nay. I'm not buying 40 pounds of it. I'm buying a pound.
Yeah.
It's $20. I think I can, pull a little bit out of mom's eye and swing that.
All right. John, disconnect and reconnect again. And we will go to a quick break here. I mute these guys and I'll talk to you quickly about who? Pit Barrel Cooker. That's right. What do we know about Pit Barrel Cooker? It's the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. It's available in 3 sizes. The Pit Barrel Junior, the Pit Barrel Flagship size, and the Pit Barrel Extra Large, or the PBX. There's a host of accessories to complete your pit barrel cooking experience as well, so stay tuned for those. Look at all those, get all of those, and buy the pit barrel cooker that best fits your need. Remember, even the Junior can do up to 6 racks of ribs if you're hanging them, so pretty substantial meat output. 8 in the flagship, and then I forget exactly what the max number of hanging ribs in the PBX is, but I think it's like 12 or 14. It's ridiculous. Commercial grade. Doesn't matter if you're just a beginner or if you're a professional. It's definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. So what do? Visit pitbarrelcooker.com. That's pitbarrelcooker.com. Follow them on all the social media channels. And tell everybody at Pit Barrel Cooker, the Barbecue Central show, sent you because we're big fans. We love it. We're back with more Embedded Correspondents right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we welcome you all back. We are here with the Embedded Correspondents. If you're new to the show, sitting right across from me at the top is Doug Scheiding, the longest-running Embedded Correspondent there from Texas. John Solberg, the second longest-running from the great state of Michigan. And bottom right is Rusty Monson from the great city of Utah, who is frozen? I don't think Rusty's there. He's holding that pose too long. I have become too adept at this game to realize when somebody is not there. Ah, and there he is. See, I knew what's going on. There's Rusty. Also, the pitmaster of Salt City Barbecue and the associated food trailer. So who did I start with on that last round before we went to break? Was that you, John? Yeah, I think it was John. Let's go back to Rusty. Rusty! 100% yes or 100% no. At some point in the next 10 to 15 years, all the meat we consume will be lab-grown meat.
It'll exist, but it's not the only meat we'll consume. No. God, no.
Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. At some point in the next 10 to 15 years, all the meat we consume will be lab-grown meat.
No. Yeah, no.
John, yes or no?
Oh, Meathead's book has a better shot than that.
So I'm thinking long and hard about this because chicken is being grown in vats. I have to assume that even though it's $20 a pound at this point, they're going to figure out a way to bring that cost down to a more palatable price. Might not be what commodities chicken is at this point. At some point, beef has to also scale up to meet where chicken is because beef can't be left behind technology. And I don't know this for a fact, but my thought is more people like beef than chicken if they had a choice. But I don't know that again. I'm just making that up. So in 10 to 15 years, could all the meat that we eat be taken out of the fields and the kill lots and all this other stuff and be grown in meat to help better the environment? I have to think on that because I never, ever would have thought that the Class 8 heavy-duty truck industry would be nearing all-electric vehicles. If you would have told me that 10 years ago, that in the next 10 to 15 years, we could be at a crossing point where we could really see Class 8 electric trucks, I would say no. But here we are. It's really happening. There are mandates coming down from government that are going to make it happen. There are states adopting certain regulations in their own state that will be demanding that a certain percentage of trucks that are diesel, if you buy this many, then you got to buy this many electric trucks. Like, it's happening. For folks that think this is not going to happen, electric trucks in the heavy-duty industry are 100% happening, like it or not, and I hate it. which makes me believe that in the next 10 to 15 years, absolutely all the meat we're going to be eating is going to be grown in the lab to help betterment of our world. Book it, and we'll see how well that one ages. Doug! 100% yes or 100% no. My positive first experience with the full-sized Charbroil Edge grill is solely clouded by the fact that I didn't pay for it.
I'm going to say no on that.
I thought you would be the first one to say yes. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. My positive first experience with the full-sized electric Charbroil Edge grill is solely clouded on the fact that I didn't pay for it.
Since it looks like it was made out of aluminum foil, I say absolutely yes.
John, 100% yes or 100% no. My positive first experience with the full-sized electric Charbroil Edge is solely clouded by the fact that I didn't pay for it.
100% no. You're not a newbie to free stuff.
I can answer this with 100% assurity. Did they send it to me for free? Yes. Am I here to tell you that on the first time it performed well? Yes. Am I saying that because they sent it to me for free? Fuck no.
Get that free stuff out of here.
If it cooked like a piece of shit, I'm going to tell you it cooked like a piece of shit. Now, do I seem like I have a little bit more bravado? If they were a sponsor of the show, you wouldn't be talking the same way. Okay, fair enough. Maybe I wouldn't be talking the same way, and maybe I wouldn't be talking about it at all. I just wouldn't mention it, right? If I like something, I'm going to tell you I like it. Please rest assured. Whether I tell you I get something for free or not, and I'll tell you if I got it for free, because what do I care? Get a lot of time invested in this industry. Somebody wants to send me what retails. It's on sale right now, or it was, for $499. What does that mean? Charbroil probably gets it made for, what, $100? $125? I don't know what the margin on grills is. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. So $300 out of, cost to them, but $200 cost to them. Like, big deal. So if it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks because maybe you're in an apartment or maybe you're in a dwelling that doesn't allow live fire, but you want a full-sized experience. So I'll tell you, don't even waste $499, let alone the retail at $699 or whatever it was. Worked good. I'm doing Bubba Burgers tomorrow. That will be the true test. That I can tell you. We know I love Bubba Burgers. They've never sponsored the show, and I can't praise them enough for the great product, and neither can John. He loves Bubba Burgers. All right, last question of 100% assurity. We go to John. John, 100% yes or 100% no. Traeger will release a pizza oven insert at some point this summer.
But I'm going to go with 100% no.
Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. Traeger will release a pizza oven insert at some point this summer.
No, because what the hell are they waiting for? It's halfway over. Christ.
CEO of Traeger Grills, Doug Scheiding, 100% yes or 100% no. Traeger will release a pizza oven insert at some point this summer.
Well, thank you for the lead in. Just like the CEO of Traeger promised the pizza insert last year,
yes,
it's not in the mean of Meathead, the book coming out in 2025. The answer is no.
No. Interesting. Well, I would love to say that I'm going to make it a majority here, although I am a little stuck on the fact that I forget what the name of the show. John, what was the name of the European show that just took place? Spago or Spago or whatever the hell it was. Do you know what I'm talking about? A big
yes,
European grilling show.
but I don't know the name of it.
It started with an S. Take our word for it. Look on LinkedIn. The only thing that's keeping me from jumping in with a full no is that there was a Traeger setup there. Now, this is Europe. I don't know if they're retailing different stuff to Europe or not. I doubt it. But maybe they are. I don't know. In the Traeger booth, in one of those grills, there was a pizza oven insert, which leads me to believe that no, they're not going to. Not this year. I think they're showing it off. They should have had it out already. I'm with Rusty. Like, summer's halfway over. But I was intrigued enough to see it once again making an appearance because, as Doug mentioned last summer, I thought that thing would have been out last summer. They had promoted it. They had talked about it. And then it, never happened. Then nobody talked about it. Then you never saw it. And now it's reemerged again over in Europe. So maybe it's going to get released. Doug, do you have any insight? Is that going to be a European release and not here in the States?
The good news is I know nothing about it, so I don't know.
All right, so we all agree that that's not coming. What's that, John?
I think still the wild card is the Green Mountain, their existing oven, which has when this came up, and it makes sense.
John, I have bad news. Your connection sucks. Try again. Still sucks. All right, disconnect and reconnect. All right, so we have. Well,
has anyone Greg?
Go
Has
ahead.
anyone heard that stand? It's called a stand broil or something like that. That basically fits onto the fire pot, and it's like $150 or something like that. It fits on like a Pit Boss and a Traeger and stuff like that.
What does that do?
And it's a pizza. It's a pizza. It's a pizza insert that you can put on some of the older pellet cookers.
What's it called?
It basically stand STAN broil, stand broil. And it's like $150. You take the drip pan out, you take the deflector out, and you plop that thing right on top of. When I was researching this question, I was like, that's actually kind of cool. I saw it on Amazon for like $150, $160.
I see Stan Broil, STANBROIL.
Yeah.
It's outdoor products, but I don't see anything for a pizza grill accessories. All right, let's go here. A lot of nonsense. No, see a smokestack for a Green Mountain Grill or some of those other lower end ones. I don't see anything that's going on top of a burn pot. John, you ever heard of a Stan Broil pizza oven? Oh, Jesus Christ. Poor John.
I'll email you. I'll email you.
Yeah, email that to me. I have never heard of that.
I will.
The only one I really ever know for the pellet cooker is the Green Mountain Grill, which works fabulous. I thought, and that's patented, by the way. So when Traeger was talking about bringing out theirs, I thought, oh, wow, this could be turnabout being fair play where Green Mountain Grill might decide to sue Traeger on infringing on some of their pizza oven patents. See if we can't, work it out. I do know that I better not talk about that because I haven't had clearance from the right people. But there could be some things changing around in the pellet world as far as the manufacturers that we know and people we thought might be going away, might not be going away now. They might be sticking it out. So I'll have to get further clearance on that. We can talk about that next month. I think we've done it. We've run 100% Assurity through 2 segments. I don't have enough to get into some of the other stuff that's going to be way more involved. However, I'm going to save that one for next week for YouTube poll question of the week. Yeah, well, I'm doing a really good job of screech halting the momentum of the show, and I apologize. I would like to mention, by the way, before we go out here this evening, 75% of us last month perfectly guessed who was going into the 2023 Barbecue Hall of Fame. I would like to say that. That's Doug. That's Rusty. That's me. John was holding his... John, by the way, was 75% right on his own, except he was in... Oh, go ahead, Doug.
I actually wrote down what we had all said.
All
And
right.
I think you were the only one that was 100% correct.
Me?
Because I said Grady, John said Grady, and Rusty said Grady, and John said Grady. Oh, I said Roger Mooking. So they said Grady. So we actually in the vein of Guy Fieri. So so you were the only one that was correct, and we were 75% correct.
And this is who that list that you're talking about is the one that we guessed that we thought those people would put in?
Yes, we had to negotiate, and we negotiated to your 4.
All right. Well, look at me. Well, we're going out on a high note. I'm smarter than everybody for once. Thank goodness. It happens every once in a blue moon.
I had John's back on that. Yes.
The blue moon is out here. Very good. So I certainly appreciate that. All right, Rusty, before we go, a little promotion for you. What do you have coming up? What's going on with the food truck? Let's have it.
We have our second food truck coming up very shortly, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But you can catch Doug on the Pitmasters podcast. You should check that out. That's an actually really good episode. So Doug kills it on that one. But that's all I got.
Doug, are you going to be opening up the Doug Scheiding podcast? I mean, you're hosting all these other podcasts. I mean, what's going on? Are you about ready now? You've broken your teeth?
The answer, 100% surety question. Hell no.
Hell no.
I've had my own podcast before, so no. But thank you. I am cooking in the wine festival in Santa Barbara, July 15th, I think it is. And I will be subbing in for Lynn and co-hosting the Baseball and Barbecue on the July 15th version of their show, talking about overfly baseball bats.
All right, so we'll talk about that. John, what are you promoting and what's happening with you this coming, or before we let you go tonight? It's the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less coming up this Friday, episode 288, where you and your sister's roommate will be talking about nonsense and shenanigans. And thank you for listening. Rusty, go ahead.
If John ever dies, can we just keep him here in memoriam, just like this?
Bad news, Rusty. Guess what? John's gonna die someday. I don't want to tell you the truth here.
Hold on to this. Let's just hold on to it in memoriam.
John is dying because this is happening, and he feels terrible about it.
He just texted me. He's like, "Go problem with the service provider." So I could tell, and this is not him. This is a service provider issue. You could tell right off the rip here. So. But I agree, John. This is Rusty. This is a great shot of John, and if God forbid, if he passes away here, and we have to use this, we would have to figure out what we would have to then do, not to drag this on and on. We have to go through all the audio of him only, and we have to then predetermine how we want the segment to go, and then we have to splice all of his words together. And the way we think he would answer it. And it would be like all that mumble jumbled, high, low talking, because we're like sewing his words together. But it might take a long time, but I think that would be worth it. So we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, these are the embedded correspondents. Doug Scheiding is to the right of me from Texas, sometimes visits Houston, and he's longest running correspondent. John Solberg is right there, silent from Michigan. And Rusty Monson is bottom caddy corner to me on the right from the great city of Utah and the founder of the Salt City Barbecue Food Trailer and the pitmaster of the same competition team. Gentlemen, always appreciate the time, and we'll see you again next month. That's them. And we will wrap it up here.
Full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, we'll try to... Things got a mind of its own tonight, but it's helping me get through the end of the show here on time, which I certainly appreciate. We thank the embedded correspondents for joining me last segment. And the segment before that, too bad John had internet service provider issues, but 90% of what John said got through, and it was great. All the way back in the first hour, it was an open segment to lead the show, and then we had Derrick Riches from DerrickRiches.com talking about his newest version of the top 10 most popular barbecue and grilling websites. Go to DerrickRiches.com and check out that for yourself. See if you agree. Visit those websites. Have you even heard of any of those besides Just Pryles, Hey Grill Hey, and AmazingRibs.com? I think most of you haven't even heard of Smoked BBQSource.com still. I know that person is legitimate. I have reached out to all the ones I've never heard of to see if they want to come on the show and talk about it. I've gotten one answer so far. Second hour, Embedded Correspondents, a long list of 100% Assurity questions, which we then dug into a little bit more on some of those, which we certainly appreciate. So follow all those guys, Doug, John, Rusty, on their various social media platforms. We have a July 4th show coming up next week. It will be live, yes. And that will be the last live one for a 2-week span. Remember, the 11th and the 18th will be pre-recorded new shows that get dumped into the podcast feed, so you will get them that way versus seeing them video-wise here on the show. Maybe I'll mix it up. Who knows? We'll have to see what's going on. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host, the proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
What's up? This is JM, host of the Celebrity Grill podcast on iTunes, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Network. All barbecue and grilling, all the time.